Hello, everyone. Welcome to First Take. We are coming to you live from Disneyland in Anaheim, California. We're going to reflect back on Super Bowl 60 last night, but we're also going to look ahead to Super Bowl 61 because it is right up the road at SoFi Stadium next year, right here on ESPN. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Shae.
Good morning. Good morning.
I think we're missing someone important.
Yes.
Stephen A., where are you?
Shae, I'm right here. You know I'm right here, right? Look, I even got a bell for me. You understand? Bottom line is this. I'm at Disneyland here to celebrate the 70th anniversary, having a blast. Where else would I be right now? This is the place to be, especially right after the Super Bowl, okay? Oh, my goodness. Look at my friends. Look at my friends. Mickey and Minnie, how you doing? How you doing? How are you? Oh, what's up, my man? How you doing? First Takes in the house live from Disneyland. This is how we do it. I got my man Cam RC, Swagoo, of course, Shae's in the house. Everybody's here, and everybody's looking forward to First Take. Holla.
Were you surprised by the Seahawks' dominance last night?
No, it was expected. And, you know, it was a ticking time bomb that we knew or we expected to see the dominance of Seattle's defense all year. We've seen it all year. They had a great display yesterday. But I think I was surprised by how long it took the New England offense to get going. That was what I was most surprised about. But that's what you say. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. Mike McDonald had those guys biting. And to put on that display in front of the world was something that is remarkable, and shout out to Seattle.
Yeah, if you think back to the whole week, it kind of sounded like everybody was leaning towards this version of Seattle, New England. And to your point, Cam, you looked at throughout these playoffs, these games that the New England Patriots won, they were all nail biters. You go to Denver, the weather is inclement, but it's Jarrett Stidham. You get out of there 10-7. It takes 4 interceptions and a fumble from C.J. Stroud while Houston was in that game for majority of the game, even though you come away with a win. The Seattle Seahawks did exactly what we expected them to do from a defensive standpoint, based on the holes that we saw from this offensive line, based on the protection issues that they showed throughout the playoffs. The other thing was this, too. Sam Darnold did the one thing he needed to do in this game, and that's not turn the football over, right? And give his defense an opportunity to do what they've been doing all season. So I thought it was a phenomenal performance, but it was absolutely a mark performance for the Seattle Seahawks. This is how we've seen them play outside of playing against the L.A. Rams.
Honestly, I'm surprised because of this. I had so much respect for Mike Vrabel. I had so much respect for Josh McDaniels. Drake Maye, it was only one vote that separated him and Matthew Stafford from who was going to win the MVP. We didn't want to disrespect Mike Vrabel and those guys all week, and I feel like the way that the Seattle Seahawks prepared, they didn't as well until they got on the field. You could see early on in this game that it was a mismatch. You knew that the rosters weren't the same. On the back end, the Seattle Seahawks had every confidence that they wouldn't get beat over the top. They were aggressive in tackling. And early on in the game, when the New England Patriots tried to start with the run, and Ramondre Stevenson was getting stuffed even out of cover 2, even in split safety, it was a game. You knew that Will Campbell would not win on his side. This was, in my opinion, akin to what Bill Belichick did to Sean McVay when they met up with the Los Angeles Rams. It was complete dominance from a coaching level, and that trickled down to the players.
I found myself being sympathetic, feeling sorry for the New England Patriots defense because they showed up. They really, really did. I mean, they were in this game up until the pick 6, obviously. They were in this game. And I'm just looking at it from the standpoint, you had 28 quarterback pressures. You're the Seattle Seahawks, okay? Only blitz 13% of the time, which means you were sending your 4, okay? 4 dudes was getting to Drake Maye. You know, DeMarcus Lawrence had 7 pressures, for crying out loud. You had, you just look at them, and I just say to myself, damn, they really had no chance. That's why I said to Jason McCourty, weeks before, the minute the AFC Championship game was over, they said, well, are we sleeping on the New England Patriots? I said, no, I'm snoring. I wasn't worried about it at all because their offense is what I did not have faith in. What was I talking about leading into this game? I was talking about an offense that was averaging about 18 points per game in their 3 playoff games before, a couple of three playoff games before the Super Bowl yesterday, and I said, how are you going to score? I know that the Chargers, the Texans, and the Broncos have big-time defenses. They weren't Seattle's defense. They weren't ranked #1 in points allowed all season long. This was the Seattle Seahawks, and I knew these brothers were going to be hunting and to send 4 guys and apply that kind of pressure. Drake Maye never had a chance. You bring up Mike Vrabel, RC, and I get that because he's the head coach. Last time I checked, Josh McDaniels was supposed to be boy wonder as an offensive coordinator. Not only that, he was a former head coach in the National Football League with the Raiders, okay? And I looked at him yesterday, and I felt sorry for Drake Maye as well because he's in the second year. Yeah. He's going up against a monster defense. You've got to be ready. And you know what? You know why he looked nervous? Because he recognized very, very early, damn, my game plan, this ain't going to work. And Josh McDaniels didn't seem to know or have the ability to do anything about it.
So, Stephen, here's the thing. Like, scheme can only save you for so long.
Right.
Like, this was just a natural butt whooping by individuals for the Seattle Seahawks. If you looked across the field all night, it was dudes winning one-on-ones on every level from a defensive standpoint. Look, they were Hail Marys. Those were Hail Marys they scored touchdowns on. Like, that was just a player making a play. But for the vast majority of this game, New England looked undermanned from an individual standpoint. You talk about the pass rush. When they did bring pressure 7 times, 6 of them got home. When they rushed 4-man, I'm sure the pass rush win rate had to be above 60%. So when you think about the odds that Drake Maye was against, when you think about the things that he was going to have to overcome, and we talked about his legs and the ability to scramble, all of that sounds good until, like Mike Tyson said, you get punched in the face, right? And it just wasn't there. He looked to scramble. He looked to try to make secondary plays. Seattle had New England's number, and nothing speaks to that more than when those players were interviewed, Love in particular. The reporter asked him, when did you guys know you had this game? He said after the first series of the game. Now, that is a bold statement when you start talking about playing a Super Bowl championship and the defensive guys after the game is saying we knew we had their number after the first series of the game.
Let's be honest real quick. This was the first time that the New England Patriots played a team at their best in probably the last 2 months. And that's just a realization that most fans really will not understand. When you say to Seattle played a great 49ers team. They were banged up, but they still, could compete.
They're gifted.
They played Los Angeles Rams team at their best with Devontae Adams, so they were more battle-tested. Now you come into a game now where your first quality opponent is the last game of the season in front of the world. It's no backup quarterback no more. It's no deficits at missing certain key members on your team. This was this team's best. And I know when people analyze this game and say, Will Campbell did not show up. Well, Drake Maye's performance was a little spotty. Well, I would say, where was the receivers for the New England Patriots? The first couple of completions for Drake Maye either came through a tight end or a running back. So as I'm analyzing the game, it was so much blame to kind of go around and point fingers and say, well, Josh McDaniel. Bro, everybody took turns making mistakes.
But you can't do anything about it. You're Josh McDaniel. Again, this is not about losing the Super Bowl. You lost to a superior team. And you got, man to man, they were just better. But you got to be able to show an ability to alleviate something. And the New England Patriots did not do that.
The one thing they should be disappointed about this morning, if you're in New England locker room and coaching staff, is that they played it safe.
Cam, how should we view Maye now after this Super Bowl performance? And I know they were getting after that entire offense, but now from a quarterback perspective.
Yeah, listen, and contrary to what people may believe about my relationship or how I feel about Drake Maye, I'm extremely proud of how he handled himself throughout the whole season. And I'll just say this. Drake Maye, message to you. I will allow myself, if I'm you, to feel every emotion of this game. Are you disappointed? You should be. But understand this. This game wasn't just on what you did. Understand this, that this season was not a failure. You made leaps, strides, and bounds to becoming an MVP candidate. But understand this the most. You do not start here next year. Next year is a new season. Next year is a new chapter. Next year is a new situation. But the goal is still the same, winning the Super Bowl. Allow yourself, once again, to feel every emotion, go through an off season, get prepared, get healthy, and understand that with what we saw this year, it is only the beginning, not the end.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Drake Maye behaved after the game like you're supposed to. He cried. He talked about his coach and the relationship they want to have going forward. He talked about the way that the men in that locker room approach playing the game of football. It wasn't about fame. It wasn't about money. It was about winning. And here's what I want to say to him. I get it. What Cam said is right. You're not entitled to ever get back to this position. Not this team, not Drake Maye as a player. You don't know if you ever reach these heights. Yeah, you got to feel this loss, but you also got to go figure out why it happened.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how are we better. You have to know that you have a different schedule next year. You have to know that you have the bullseye on your back next year. There is no creeping up for Drake Maye. And there are going to be changes in that locker room. I view Drake Maye like you should view him. I view him as one of the brightest young stars in football. I view him as a young man that understands what this game is about. But he's never been in this position. You've never been in this position where you got your team to a championship and you were absolutely blown out. Yeah. You got your doors blown off. You got embarrassed. How Drake Maye and the New England Patriots rebound from this will tell the story of their legacy, because it's difficult to have this sort of loss on this stage.
Well, I'm just going to be a fan of the young fella the rest of his career. And it's based on how he responded to this game. For a second-year quarterback to take ownership and responsibility for the performance that his team displayed and realize that the gravity of that moment was either he could be in his feelings and be sad about his personal performance. Drake Maye represented the New England Patriots in a great fashion. You got to retool, you got to rebuild, and I know that Mike Vrabel and this organization won't get comfortable and rest on their laurels based on where they are now. Drake Maye just has to continue to get better, but he got a fan in me the way he responded to this game.
No doubt about that. Let's say this, too. There's a couple of things, and I mean, he may not look at it that way, but for people that don't play football outside with some of the noise that you may hear, understand this, Drake Maye. Last year, arguably the greatest quarterback that we have ever seen got annihilated. The Philadelphia Eagles destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes threw for 257 yards and was sacked 6 times. And the game was over before the fourth quarter, and we all knew it, all right? So ain't no shame in that. That's number one. Number two, Tom Brady, the only quarterback that has won a Super Bowl for the New England Patriots. Remember, Bledsoe went with Parcells, and now Vrabel went with Drake Maye. But Tom Brady is the only quarterback that walked away for the New England Patriots with a Super Bowl championship. But he lost a couple of times. And those couple of losses was when he couldn't be protected. And he was getting slaughtered by a front four for the New York Giants that was just all over him. So there's no shame in that. But here's the thing that transcends, and it goes beyond football, and it just touches on all facets of life. And I'm not joking when I say this, even though it's kind of funny. Don't let it be you. And what I mean by that is this. When you're going through what you're going through in the offseason, this pain is absorbed even more so, and you reflect on it. It wasn't just Drake Maye. It was everybody on offense, and it was Josh McDaniel, and it was Mike Vrabel, no doubt about it. But it just elevates and accentuates the importance of making sure it ain't you. Like, exhaust yourself making sure that you master your role, your craft. Because when you do that, chances are you're going to be in a position where, like, wait a minute now. I mean, you know, we got a couple of offensive linemen as rookies. I mean, damn, I need some more help. And when you're the New England Patriots, you have a history of losing in the big game when you don't protect your quarterback. Not to say that everybody wouldn't lose under those circumstances, because everybody would. But you know firsthand, because the GOAT lost 2 Super Bowls in your uniform because of that. So you got to remember stuff like that and hold on to it, and you'll get better from it.
So do you think the shoulder was maybe bothering Maye at all? We talked about how there was maybe some lack of designed runs. He wasn't using his feet as much as we're accustomed to him doing, especially in a game at this level. Was the shoulder maybe an issue?
Shae, I don't mean to be insensitive. That brother showed up. It was a Super Bowl. And he was there in uniform. Ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Yeah, rehab.
I'm just telling you, ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Rehab in the next 5 months. Now, it's a real thing because he had to get a shot in there. Here's the other thing, too. Like, the reason why football is the greatest game, because you're so dependent on the people around you, right? Like, we have these conversations about the great quarterbacks and the running backs and wide receivers. It all starts with those big fellas up front, giving you time to do all of these beautiful, extravagant things that you do. Cam, you speak to that more than anybody playing quarterback. That relationship that's tied between those guys in protection and that quarterback that's touching the football every down is the most important relationship in football. I don't care if you got Randy Moss and T.O. and Jerry Rice on the outside. If the quarterback only got 1.5, 2 seconds to get them the ball, you're going to have problems. So that's one of the things. Drake Maye understood where their deficiencies were, and they showed up in this game. And he tried to overcome them, but in this particular game, in this professional sport, you will not do it by yourself. And I think that was the example of what we saw last night. So shoulder, mind, Josh McDaniels, the bottom line is the New England Patriots could not protect their quarterback last night, and that's the reason they got beat like they did.
Yeah, Drake Maye sacked 21 times this postseason, most by any quarterback in a single postseason.